Welcome to We're Not Waiting, a podcast about living free from dieting and the scale.
We're two friends who no longer want to wait to live our lives.
We stopped putting our lives on hold until we became a certain size and started showing up exactly as we are. And we hope this podcast encourages you to do the same.
I'm Tanya, a certified intuitive eating coach and health at every size advocate. I am working to redefine what the stereotypical nutritionist is. I work with others to find freedom with their relationship with food and help them navigate restoring their inner intuitive eater.
And I'm Tracy, a body image coach. I specialize in working with women who feel trapped by dieting and the scale. I help them to improve their relationship with their body so that they can live the life they were created for. My mission is to help women just like you stop fighting their bodies and start living their lives today. The advice in this podcast is for educational and entertainment purposes only and not a substitute for professional medical advice.
Now a word from our sponsor.
In the non-diet world, it's hard to get personal support and community on a regular basis.
Like when you're eating dinner and everyone is talking about their diet.
Or at a baby shower and your great aunt is giving the mom-to-be tips for how to lose the baby weight.
It can feel like you're the only one in the world who wants to stop dieting.
It can be hard to take action after just listening to our podcast because change doesn't happen in isolation.
Change happens with community.
We need community because the community you are coming from is still stuck in diet culture. We need a support system that's moving forward in the anti-diet world. We need to know there are others working to stop waiting and to start showing up exactly as they are.
When we do this work in community, we actually get results. That's why we launched the Live Free Collective, a membership where you get the support and strength you need to leave diet culture behind and live free.
Your membership will include an exclusive meditation that you can access right from your phone, desktop and phone wallpapers that will keep you encouraged all month long, weekly journal prompts and downloadable mantra cards, access to group discussions, and a monthly coaching call with Q&A.
Grab your spot today by clicking the link in our show notes or going to we'renotwaiting.com/Live Free Collective. And now back to our episode.
Hello and welcome to another episode of We're Not Waiting.
Wait, what?
How many times have we seen or heard,
if you use this product, you'll lose weight fast?
Just wear this undergarment and you can make yourself appear smaller and smoother.
To get your ideal body, all you have to do is take this pill.
Women of a certain size shouldn't wear that.
You can lose 30 pounds in 30 days with our workout plan.
Wait, what?
From weight loss ads everywhere, fat-phobic jokes on our favorite TV shows, not being taken seriously as women, or being discounted because of our size. We are constantly bombarded with messages about how we should look and who we should be.
When we take a brief moment to pause and say, wait, what? We set an intentional boundary that we are not going to internalize that message.
Now, for this week's Wait What moment.
So I was at the gas station the other day filling up my car with gas, as one does, right? And you know the like pumps that have like the TVs on them, so they have like ads that are running, or they're like, hey, here's the like weather in your area. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay. So the first, it wasn't an ad, it was like a little segment, and they were talking about substituting sour cream with Greek yogurt, like putting Greek yogurt instead of sour cream. Okay. And I was like, whatever, that's dumb because sour cream is delicious.
Yeah. Sour Greek yogurt. I mean, it's fine if that's what's good for you, but no, often when I've tried it, it's like a weird texture for me. I can't handle it.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the sour cream just has like a different texture. It's like fuller, probably more fat, right? Is that what it does? It makes it more.
Yeah, I mean, you can do like a full fat Greek yogurt, but it's just like less. It's smoother. The sour cream. Greek yogurt has like a grainy texture.
Yeah, and I wasn't really paying attention to what they were actually making with it, but it was like, I swapped this out, and I'm like, no, I'm trying to get gas. Like, I'm not trying to like be bombarded by diet culture. And anyway, and then I was like giggling because like the next segment right after that was how to make like an orange cake and then put like slices of like oranges on the bottom. And I'm like, it looks great. Like it looked really good. But I was just like, it's just like the juxtaposition of like, oh, substitute out like, sour cream for Greek yogurt. And then the next one was like, oh, here's how to make a cake. Like, there's nothing wrong with the cake. There's nothing wrong with sour cream. There's nothing wrong with Greek yogurt. But it was just like those two next to each other. I'm like, no wonder there's so many like conflicting messages on like.
Oh, yeah. We're so confused. And I actually don't know off the top of my head. I should know this. But off the top of my head, I don't remember what the difference is like protein wise. Because I think that's kind of the thing about the Greek yogurt is that there's a lot more protein in it versus sour cream. But I'm like, I really don't know if it's that much different, that like it's just going to make or break your like chili that you've made with cornbread. It's like,
right.
I don't know. But.
Well, and I think too, like it like for me, I'm like, sometimes when I substitute things, it's like, well, first of all, it's like very diety. And then I'm like, I feel like I'm getting like the short end of the stick. Like, why can't I just have what I want to have, like instead of substituting something out? And it reminds me of diet culture stuff anyway, but yeah.
If it's a recipe, like I love, like I like frozen yogurt stuff. And so, I think it has a time and a place. And obviously eating yogurt in of itself is great, but I don't think it needs to be a substitute. That's where it gets all like wellness diet culture-y, where like you like you're missing out on what was actually supposed to be there.
Yeah. You feel like you're getting like option B instead of option A.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So on to our episode for the week. If you are a regular listener, you know that we have a series of episodes that are titled WTF something, right? And we did these episodes because we felt like in the anti-diet and eating disorder recovery world, there are so many like buzzwords that get thrown around. I mean, even abbreviating like HAZE, which, can be confusing at first because if you don't spell out like health at every size, you're like, what is HAZE? Like, is it hazy outside? Like, I'm just like confused what that means. So we're teachers by nature. Tanya is retired. Can we call you a retired teacher? I don't know. You're still in education, but you're still in education, but not in the classroom anymore. But so I think we want to make sure we check for understanding, like throughout all my like teacher terms. And we don't want to go like full speed ahead without making sure we have a good foundation for recovery work. So we hope these episodes are great, like one-offs that you can just kind of scroll through the feed or on our, your favorite podcast app and just be like, oh, that's something I really want to know more about. And so with that said, this episode will answer the question, WTF is body image?
Body image is something that we talk about all the time. If you've listened to our podcast, it comes up pretty much every episode. We see it online, but do we even really know what it means? It's hard to heal something or work on something that isn't fully defined. We often equate it to just loving our body, but it's more layered than that. So in today's episode, we will define for you what body image is and what the different aspects are of it, and how you can work towards healing.
Yeah. So according to Medical News Today, body image refers to a person's emotional attitudes, beliefs, and perceptions of their own body. Body image relates to what a person believes about their appearance, how they feel about their body, height, weight, and shape, how they sense and control their body as they move, and how they perceive others' beliefs about their body. So this is the framework from which we're going to work through today. So each one of those points. Point number 1 is what a person believes about their appearance. So body image work is really mindset work. Yes, there is fat phobia. Yes, there is discrimination, weight-based discrimination that fat people in this world face. We don't want to diminish those things. They're real. They exist. But mindset work isn't about changing your experiences in the world. It's about changing your experience of the experience, right? So what do I make this mean? It doesn't mean you still want to experience weight bias at the doctor or access to clothing or other experiences, but it does mean you change your mindset about it and not blame yourself or your body for the way society views your body. I read this study the other day about children who have a positive experience at school between the ages of 7 and 11 are more likely to do well in school. And I think the same can be said about body image. And the reverse is true, right? So if between the ages of 7 to 11, kids who have a negative experience in school are less likely to do well in school. And the same thing can be said about our bodies, right? That is a very formative age. Not to scare anyone who has children or teaches that age. I'm always terrified. I'm oh gosh, what children have I traumatized inadvertently, gosh. So if you see your body type reinforced in the media as lazy or dumb or not popular, and then a thinner body stereotyped as someone who's successful, loved, of course your beliefs are going to be altered because of that, right? So we form these beliefs as young as, kids as young as 4 and 5 can identify those things, right? And so we form our beliefs and we make it mean something. And this is so important because it comes down to knowing that you are more than your body. Especially as women, we're brought up with these ideas that our body is our worth. That's why we struggle so hard with body image. We've been taught to believe that the way we look is the most important thing about us. And we live in a culture that idealizes thinness. So naturally, we internalize the message that our bodies are our value and our shapes, and the shapes our belief. Whereas the work of recovering from diet culture, the work of body image is learning that we have so much more to offer than our bodies, so much more to give than just the way that we look. There's so many other things that shape the way we view our bodies, but the amazing thing about this work and the amazing thing about healing is that you get to write the story of your body. You get to say, yes, society tells me this, but here's what I know is true. You get to decide what you value. If you do a coaching session with me in our body image coaching, we talk a lot about core values. And part of body image work is deciding what you actually value, because diet culture told you for so long, you have to value your body. You have to value being smaller. You have to value not standing up for yourself, and not valuing what's inside you. And the work of doing this, of just taking a, assessment and finding out what your core values actually are is oh, I get to choose now, what I think. And then you take back the power.
I love that. The next point is body image is how someone feels about their body, height, weight, and shape. This is very similar to the first point, but I think it goes into more of what we make cellulite mean. What do we make being a certain weight or a certain size of clothing mean? The good thing about that is that our brains can change, and we can change the narrative around what we think about these things. Just because we believe that our bodies should look one way doesn't mean that we have to keep believing that. We can choose to make cellulite neutral, and having acne does not mean something about us. What value are you giving these certain things? And remember that those things are given meaning because of the societal beauty standards change. It's always changing. At every point in history, one type of body has been glorified and one has been made to feel shame. So you will never meet other people's expectations, in case you didn't know that. This just draws us in closer and makes us all that more confident in just showing up as we are, because we don't need the opinions of others. The next part of body image is how one of the senses, how one person senses and controls their body as they move. We are actually going to talk about this a bit more in our episode next week about the connection with the Enneagram and head and heart and body, which is going to be excellent. Just a little plug for that. But it means, how do we show up in the world? Do we take risks? Do we show ourselves in do we put ourselves in new and scary situations? Do we walk into a room confidently, or do we count ourselves out based upon our bodies? Oh, my body can't do this, or my body can't try new things. That's the whole point of this podcast. We don't want you to wait to do things until you are a certain size or certain weight. It's about standing up straight and walking with certainty. And some of you listening, you might be in recovery now, and your body moves differently. There's some change that has happened, and you might be feeling something different. I hate to say limitations, because that's not really what it is, but just like the ability has changed. So there's space for you in your body image work to grieve, and that also has to get you also get to know how your body moves now. So that's where it's like an ability. It's like, okay, well, it's a different ability. Or maybe you're getting older and there needs to be space where you can grieve the loss of the things you once did. This has totally happened to me watching the Olympics, because I'm seeing some bodies move the way, like, obviously I was never an Olympian, but I was able to do even just like a round off and a cartwheel in gymnastics. And now I'm like, what in the world are those people doing with their bodies? So it's amazing. This is also how you connect with others. Are you open? Do you let the thoughts in your head hold you back from showing up?
Yeah, it's so interesting. I saw this TikTok when you were talking earlier about like, how do you like walk into a room? Mm-hmm. I saw this TikTok the other day that was like how to like confidently walk into a room. And I was like, oh my gosh, I always do this. So that was like, don't like walk into a room and immediately look at your phone. And I'm like, oh, I definitely do that, because I don't want to like make eye contact with anybody, because God forbid I do that. But it was basically like, just walk into a room and just like stand there and like look around the room and then decide where you're going to go. And I'm like, holy crap. Like thinking about like going into a restaurant or like going into like a meeting or something like that. Like we automatically want to like grab for whatever like our comfort is, but you don't have to be a certain size to do that. You can do that at any size. Like you get to make that choice to walk into that room. And I love that the video was like pause, because that to me is like taking up your space and saying like, I'm here and like I'm able to like enter this space, and giving yourself that moment to pause and take up the space that you need and then decide where you're going to go, instead of like looking at your phone, which, I'm so guilty of, but it's like, oh, it's like a way to make myself smaller. Like I don't want to make eye contact with anybody. I just want to like disappear. But anyway, yeah.
I love that. And there's like I don't know, not to be woo woo, but I feel like when I walk into a room, if I do, like, there's times where I have pause, like most of the time, yeah, I do some weird something, like I try to make some weird joke about something, because that's my coping mechanism. But I'll walk into the room, and if I do like pause and let the space like kind of me acclimate, then I have like a feeling about where I should go to. Like I can sense like where in the room I will feel safe and comfortable. So allowing that to happen, because yeah, if your body has gotten bigger or changed in size, like it is something to think about, like, well, what chair can I sit in? Like, where am I going to feel comfortable? Where is there enough space for me to go? Yep. So pausing allows you to take that on and take it on with confidence, rather than just trying to like slither somewhere with your phone, head down on your phone.
Yeah. I think it was so interesting because I never thought about it. And I'm like,
oh, totally.
All the time. Like, what?
Yeah. So I'm going to be watching you now.
Yeah, right. Do it. When I walk into like meetings at work, feel like, what is she doing? She's taking up her space. But too, like going back to like the movement thing, it's true. Like, in recovery, my stomach has gotten bigger. Like my butt has gotten bigger. Like it just has. And it's not good or bad. It just is. Right. But then when I go to do exercises, like toe touches or whatever, like it looks different because my stomach is there. And so I didn't have that before as pronounced as I do now. So hopefully that's encouraging and not triggering to people. But anyway, I just want to share that. Like I move different now. Doesn't mean I don't move. It doesn't mean I can't move. It just looks different. So
exactly. Yeah. It's just getting used to like the different change and like oh, okay, that didn't like, maybe it didn't come to you as easily, but you can certainly work on it and like become more like again, as we've said, like follow some accounts that are some bodies that have done amazing things regardless of their size. And I'm like, okay, so that just proves to me I can still do that. I can still work on my body. Like I'm not counting myself out. Yeah. It's just different.
Yeah. And too, like, I mean, go places if you don't have access, like where you are and you're like looking for like movement classes that do take into consideration like different body types and different ways bodies move. Like, we're very grateful to have Current Wellness where we are, and they do offer online classes, but they're great about being like, here's 3 different ways to do this move. And like, if doesn't work for you, move this way. And there's no like judgment or shame. It's not like oh, well, if you can't do this, then you can do this like lower option. Like we were talking about with the sour cream and Greek yogurt, like it's very empowering to be like, ask your body, like, what does it need? Like, what can it do? And then here's the way you do this move for your body. And there's no like shame around that. So anyway, I think we made our point. Okay. All right. The last point though, is that body image is how one perceives others' beliefs about your body. That didn't come right. It's how, let me rephrase that. It's how I wrote that really weird. It's how you think other people perceive your body. And now a word from our sponsors. It seems like dispensaries and CBD products are everywhere these days. If you're like me, you're not too sure what CBD even is. CBD is found in cannabis sativa, or the hemp plant. This compound is not to be confused with THC, the psychoactive relative of CBD, which also comes from hemp. CBD is also different than hemp oil and offers different benefits. The biggest difference between CBD and THC is psychoactivity. THC is psychoactive, CBD is not. Many studies have shown that CBD may help with stress, anxiety, restlessness, insomnia, alertness, focus, nausea, variety of skin conditions, sore muscles and joints, and many other issues. During the dumpster fire that was 2020, my anxiety was at an all-time high, but I was overwhelmed at the options when it came to CBD. Not to mention, I was super intimidated to walk into a CBD shop. But then a friend told me about Direct CBD Online.
Direct CBD Online was created to stock the highest quality CBD products and accessories available and have them delivered directly to your doorstep. Direct CBD Online provides natural alternatives to help you live well and be well. They sell only the highest quality CBD oils, edibles, creams, and more that offer real results for your health. They also strive to provide resources to help you make informed decisions about any products and supplements you use.
I use the Lazarus Naturals oil every night before I go to bed, since that one is when my anxiety is usually at the highest. It's like a little dropper. I just drop it underneath my tongue, take a swig of water, and I'm good to go. I also use the Be True Wellness Gummies. I have them on hand for days when I have extra anxiety or anticipate that I will. Use the link in our show notes to get 25% off your first purchase. It's important to talk to your physician before adding CBD to your regimen. They can help you better understand your symptoms and if CBD is right for you. And now back to our show. So we can throw away the scale, right? Because we used to like measure our value and our worth based on the scale. And then what often happens, especially with body image, is like, oh, I just need to like the way I look in the mirror. And that's such like a I don't know. It's such like just almost like another goal that you're trying to reach. Like my goal is I have to love the way I look in the mirror. And like, yes, you can grow to love the way you look, but continually looking in the mirror and hoping that you're going to change your mind around it. It's like you're setting yourself up to fail. It's like constantly weighing yourself and be like, okay, I'm going to be okay with whatever number this is. Like, no, because for so long, that was the way you used to measure your worth. Right. So the mirror can become the same thing. And so, it becomes like a source of like validation, right? And even harder than that, even more than the scale and the mirror is looking for other people to give us validation, says the recovering people pleaser. I'm learning more every day. But I think especially as women, I think, if you're listening to this podcast, you're like, yeah, as women, we are groomed, literally groomed. And I'm using the word groomed because that's what is happening, to be people pleasers, right? I hate that it always goes back to childhood, but it always does, guys. I'm sorry. It always does. But the very first time I ever felt judged for my body, or that I felt like my body was being judged. And I've shared this story on the podcast before. So if you're like an OG listener, you might have already heard this story, but I was invited to Tanya's like, I know this story. I could tell this, I could tell it better than you can.
Let me tell it from my perspective now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, as if you were there. We've been friends a long time, but not that long. So I was invited to a sleepover at like the cool girls' house in 5th grade. And God only knows why, but my therapist pointed out like what must have been happening in their house for her to even think to do this. But anyway, basically the girl whose house it was told us we were all going to get on the scale and like weigh ourselves. And why in 5th grade? Like that's the point that my therapist made, that I was like, oh, you're right. Like why she would even think to do that? Like obviously there's a lot more going on in her house. But anyway, I didn't think anything of it because like at that point, like I didn't really have a perception or idea that like weight was like a thing to feel bad about or like good about. It was neutral. It was in 5th grade. Like I was just neutral about it. Right. But when I got on the scale, we all went around, like I was like the last one to go, and they got on the scale, like mine was the highest one. And like at that time we lived in Asia. Right. And Asian women tend to be just more petite body type, right? More slender build. And I mean, I have Irish genes. Like we're hardy people. Like we just are, right? My dad is very tall. My mom is, she's average height, but like we just have bigger genes. And so, anyway, so of course I'm going to weigh more than them. And plus bodies are just different. Like, especially at that age, like people are, we're starting to develop, kids are starting to develop. So we're all like, we're not all the same. So anyway, we're just all built different. Right. So when my therapist said it was true, it like gave me a new perspective, like what must have been going on with her in her house for her to even think that. But I share that story to say the way we think other people think about our bodies is a huge part of body image too. And that's shaped by our lived experiences. I mean, I'm sure any of you listening can tell a story. I mean, Tanya, do you have a story where you were like, oh, that's the first time I noticed my body and felt shame about it?
Yeah, it's funny. I've actually tried to think back to my earliest memories about that. And I want to say it probably was something to do with maybe puberty starting and like being able to fit in a certain size of jeans that maybe like didn't work before, but like I was getting taller and like more slender and then getting a compliment, I think from maybe a parent. Or something, so definitely some type of authority figure in my mind. So yes, that certainly like was the beginning of like, oh, you look good in that jeans because your body is a certain way, because it's becoming a certain way. So yes, I'm sure there's several other times that has come up, but that like maybe those were some of those real influential moments that I can pinpoint to receiving this like validation from others about my body and kind of playing into why I thought I had to be a certain size.
Right. And I think we carry the weight of that like pun intended, guys, the weight. We carry the weight of those experiences with us, right? And it helps to form, we're like, oh, well, other people must be judging my body in this way. Negatively or positively, right? You can reinforce negatively, or you can reinforce positively. So anyway, it requires a lot of inner child work to go back and like comfort little 5th grade Tracy, like bless her little heart.
Go give her a hug. Actually, can I tell a funny story about the scale? Like, so our scale in our house is put far away just because, we don't need to use it. The girls, I don't even know if they know it's there. So it's not something that like I know we say throw out the scale, but because of having children in the house, we do have one around. However, because the girls also don't experience it at home except for at the doctor, like that's really the only place. We were at some old fashioned like soda shop in a small town nearby, and they had a scale, which is really weird. They had a scale in the like main area.
But I feel like they did that back in the day. That's like a common thing.
Maybe that was, I don't know. I'd be interested.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I'd be interested to research like why it was in like the main, like it's like the front, like the checkout area, like that was there. But yeah, it's an old timey one. And the girls were like, I think my youngest saw it, and she was like, I want to go weigh myself on the scale. I want to go stand on the scale. And I was like, okay, like it's not that fun. Like, why do you want to do that? And so like we were trying to just like kill time while we're waiting for the food to come. So I brought him over there and like stood her on there, and the scale was totally broken, and it just read like a random number, which I was super appreciative of. I'm like, oh, you weighed this X amount of pounds. Like I don't even remember what the number was, but it was definitely not correct. And then it was so funny to me that they thought this like scale was novel to them, because like
it just like a toy, right?
Yeah. So it just just thinking about like the opposite of maybe like how this girl grew up, and how like probably a lot of girls have grown up. Like maybe the scale is a big part of their life, and we're raising our girls differently, where the scale is not a big part of their life. Like they're going to get on it at the doctor when they need to know if they're growing, and that's really it. Like it's not going to be a crucial thing for us. Like they don't see me weighing myself. They don't see my husband weighing himself. Like it's just not a part. And I don't say that to like toot our own horn or anything, but I'm just saying like, what will that look like for them to not have that be a big part of their life? Yeah. We'll see. Hopefully positive. I mean, gosh, knock on wood.
Stay tuned, guys.
Yeah. For our 4,000th episode, we'll keep you updated when they're teenagers, and maybe it'll be a shit show. I don't know. No guarantees.
Doing the best we can, guys.
Yep, with what we have. Yep.
Yeah.
And now a word from our sponsors. This episode is brought to you by ThredUp. It can be expensive to replace things in your wardrobe as your body changes through recovery. That's why we love ThredUp. ThredUp is the world's largest online thrift store where you can buy and sell high-quality secondhand clothes. Find your favorite brands at up to 90% off.
Not only can you buy amazing new pieces at low prices, but ThredUp also purchases items you send in. You can clean out your closet and get rid of the items that no longer serve you, all while earning money towards clothes that you love. Don't see something that you like on their website? You can also cash out and use the money to buy new clothes elsewhere. To begin selling, all you have to do is go online and request a clean out kit. They will ship you a clean out bag that you fill up with all the items you no longer need. Just drop it off at any FedEx or USPS location and begin selling. Use the link in our show notes to get $20 off your first purchase. Or if you're ready to sell, get free expedited processing on your first kit with the link in our show notes. And now back to our show. So just to kind of round it out here with this point, I think something that I came to the realization of, and I know this about other people's opinions, period, but especially about my body, like it's literally none of my business what they think. Like I don't want to waste any mental space thinking about what other people think about my body. If they have an issue with my body, that's on them. Like I don't want to carry that weight, again, pun intended. Like I don't want to carry that weight, right? We've said this before in other episodes, but it bears repeating because it's solid advice, is that It says if someone has a comment or a judgment about your body, it says more about their relationship with their own body than it does with your body. Like literally, it is a projection. People project their shit. I project my shit. We all project our shit. It's like part of human nature, right? It's like why we go to therapy to like process so we don't project our shit, right? But like they project that hurt outwards because they don't know how to deal with their own feelings on the inside, right? And so then it comes out like verbal diarrhea and they make a comment, or you even think in your head, like maybe it's not even actual conversation, but it's like a rehearsed conversation you have in your head. This is like literally, I'm sure other people can relate to this, but I have an ongoing conversation with myself all day, right? And so it's like, it's not even happening. I just think that they're thinking this about my body, and like it's literally completely made up. And so it's none of my business, even if they do. So like, that's what I have to talk to myself. And when I have the conversation with myself and these thoughts are coming up, I'm like, first of all, you don't even know that's true. You're literally making this up. And even if it was true, who the fuck cares? Like, it's like, I'm just wasting mental space and energy. And like, it's taking me out of the present moment and I'm not able to enjoy where I am. So anyway, I feel like that was a little bit of a soapbox, but if
Totally okay.
If what we shared today resonated with you, if you want a space to explore this further, if you want to talk about body image, if you want to talk about how do I rewrite this story? How do I unpack all these things that I've been carrying in my backpack around my body, around these stories that are happening in my head, you can click the link in our show notes and sign up for a free discovery call with me, with Tracy. It's me, your girl, Tracy. And we can start to rewrite the story of your body.
I love that stuff you've been carrying around in your backpack, like not on your back, like in your backpack.
Body image backpack, exactly.
Yeah. It's like, is it like a separate one from like the fanny pack?
Yeah. Side note, do you know the kids these days are wearing fanny packs, but they're wearing like a crossbody?
Okay. Yeah.
Like it's not really a fanny pack anymore. It's like a boob pack because it literally cuts through your in between.
Yeah. Yeah, that's like, I wore a lot of crossbody purses back in the day.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it definitely cuts right through the boobs.
They do no justice for big boobs, so I don't do that, but yes. It accentuates. All right, anyway.
So, in summary, body image is not only loving the way you look in the mirror, body image is what a person believes about their appearance, how they feel about their body, weight, and shape, how they sense and control their body as they move, and how they perceive others' beliefs about their body.
Yeah. So stay tuned after a word from our sponsor for our listener question of the week. So the listener question of the week is, I need to buy new pants, and I'm nervous about going up in a size when I do. What do you recommend for how to like process this, right? So great question. Yeah, I just ordered, well, I'll say this. I'm looking for black distressed denim for like fall. I know it's like August, but like just go with me because my mind is already like, it's the only way I can cope with like this part of summer in the South where we're
absolutely
like, it's been like 6 weeks of 90 degrees. The only way I can cope is by buying clothes for fall. It's like giving me like this hope, right? So I ordered probably like 10 pairs because I order and then I just like return, right? So I probably ordered like 10 pairs. And I ordered like maybe like 5 or so in the size that I think I am, and like 5 or so in the size that is like a size up, right? So I tried on the first pair that came, and they're all different cuts, right? So like one is like high-waisted, one is like mid-rise, one is like slim fit, whatever that means. Like one is like the kids these days are wearing straight, they're not wearing skinny jeans, they're wearing straight leg jeans. So I bought some of those. And so
how were those? Okay.
Those haven't come yet. I will keep you posted.
Okay.
They're coming in different packages. So I got like about 4 in so far of the 10. So I'll keep you posted on that. Yes, I will. And the ones that I ordered in the size that I thought I was, that I have been like pre-pandemic or whatever, because I really haven't bought a ton of new clothes, honestly, over the past like year and a half or so, because I just we're not going anywhere, right? So I haven't bought a ton of new clothes, but they didn't fit in the size that I thought I was, right? And so in that moment, I can choose to spiral, right? And I can say, oh, this means that I've gained weight. This means I'm a failure. This means I'm like a horrible person. Like, how can anyone love me? Whatever the story is that you tell yourself, right? Or I could say, okay, well, these don't work for me, but I have other options that do work for me. Because at the end of the day, you're going to wear the pants. It's going to be cool and crisp in this fall. The fall is going to come. It has to come, right, Tanya?
Mm-hmm. It always does. I mean, sometimes it takes a while for it to actually cool off for jeans weather, but the promise isn't there.
Exactly. Yes. So I'm going to wear the jeans, and it's not going to matter to me what the size on the back of the tag says, because nobody walks around with the tag on the outside of your pants, right? So nobody cares. Like, you're the only one that knows that. You're the only one that knows what size you are, right? So it doesn't really matter. If it bothers you that much, cut the size out. But at the end of the day, I'm going to find a cute pair of distressed black jeans that I love, and it's not going to matter what size it is. So rewrite that story for yourself. What has your body done for you? Like, my body kept me alive during a pandemic. My body did not get COVID, knock on wood, with this Delta strain. But like,
yeah, right.
But like, my body kept me safe. Like, if all my body is asking in return is that I buy a pair of pants that's a size up, I can absolutely give my body that. Like, it deserves that. We did an Instagram post a while back, and I'll just like reference it again because it relates to this. But when you wear clothes that are too small for your body, it sends your body this signal that it isn't safe, that it's not okay. Wearing those tight clothes all day, your body feels that. The book, The Body Keeps the Score. Like, your body can feel that. So care for it by buying clothes that fit your body, regardless of the size. And we've talked about before, sizes vary so much, you might buy your size in like a slim fit cut, which I hate that term, but whatever. That's like what a lot of them are, right? And then you might buy in the same size, it might be a different cut and it might fit. I mean, there's so many variations of sizes and fits for jeans and shorts and all the other things. So it literally means nothing. You can go to one store and be one size. You can go to another store and be a different size. It's all arbitrary, right? So none of it matters. It's like time. It's like money. It's all a construct.
Yeah, it is. Well, and I think the thing that we are trying to unlearn is that there's some type of association between, like, if you've arrived in a size of jeans that are smaller, just like I was talking about in my younger age, being affirmed for like being able to fit into a certain size. So yeah, we were rewarded, and we do reward, like, as a society, a diet culture, wellness culture rewards this like ability to be in a smaller size, but that's not the point anymore. That shouldn't be like, that's what one of those things you're unlearning that validation that it doesn't mean a success or a failure. It does not mean a failure if you are wearing a size that is bigger. Like, that's you have to undo what that means for you. Right. And I say you have to do, but I mean, that's what I had to do. I had to undo this like thought of like, I failed, I'm unsuccessful, like just all these like spiraling, like you said, that sends you into a place that is not helpful. And it was more like, okay, I'm just clothing myself. Like, it's okay. And I think the more comfortable we feel, the better we're actually going to like be able to connect with our body. If I'm in a pair of pants that are like not comfortable and are reminding me of my size the whole day, like, I'm just going to be thinking about that the whole day. So yeah, but I have lots of love and compassion for the pursuit of trying to find pants. It's not easy. Sometimes I think to the point where like I haven't tried to buy pants for a while because I'm just like, whatever, I give up.
Yeah. I know when you were talking about pants that are too small, it reminded me of like, you've ever put like a rubber band on your finger really tight and then your finger starts to turn purple. Like that's what happens to our bodies when we wear clothes that are too small. So
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And I think, I think referencing a post we had too a little while back about like, why is it that we celebrate buying like clothes in another size? We're like totally fine to do that when we
when we lose weight, we're like, let's like, I'm going to celebrate by getting new clothes. But then when we have to go up a size, it's like, well, I like have every excuse. I don't have money or I don't want to, or like whatever it is. And like, not that not having money is not valid. It is. But I think often we use that as an excuse to say, it's almost like it's like a permanent thing. Like it's like we talked about before, like when we got our rings resized, our wedding rings resized, we're like, oh, this feels like a very permanent, like this is who I am. And it was like a big step for us both. I think we talked about it in an episode. It was like a big step for us to be like, okay, well, I'm accepting this is my body the way it is.
Yeah. And mine is now too big because like whatever was happening in the sizing process, now it's like too big. So it's not like, so it's still not permanent. Like I'm annoyed I spent that money, but it's not like it's too small and too big. It's gone all the routes. And I think I'm not seeing any of it as a failure on my part. Like, but I've had to work on that.
Right. Yeah. Or even that it doesn't fit anymore as like a success. Like you have to like rid your mind.
Yeah. No, it's not a success because of like any type of like weight loss. It just doesn't fit because of the.
Well, your hands swell at certain times of the month. Like
yes, exactly. Yeah. So I probably got it measured like with this welly hands and I don't know. The guy kept saying like, oh yeah, we'll do this size. And I'm like, okay, whatever. And
did you go to the place by your house?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. An old man and great.
Yeah.
But now it's too big. So.
Yeah. I went to the same place. Okay. Anyway.
Yeah. Tangent.
Yes. Okay. Well, thank you guys so much for listening. We hope this episode has encouraged you to stop waiting and start showing up exactly as you are. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.
If this podcast has been in any way helpful to you, we would love it if you would leave us a review in your favorite podcast app. This helps other people find out about our podcast and boosts our ratings in those apps.
We would also love it if you would screenshot and share it on social media. Be sure to tag us so we know you shared. Speaking of social media, you can find us on Instagram at We're Not Waiting, or you can visit our website, we'renotwaiting.com, where you can download our Stop Waiting Guide and listen to our previous episodes, or shoot us an email at we'renotwaiting@gmail.com.
This music has been created exclusively for us by Noah Britton Beats. You can find more of his work at noahbritton.com.